there's no hope for humanity.
Remember when I talked about Total Drama Island back in 2021 during Summerpalooza 3? Well, I used to have interest in the show, but I can understand the charm and appeal of it. Well, keep in mind, this show in particular sums up everything onto why I barely come back to the Total Drama franchise. Now, I understand that Total Drama is supposed to be its own thing, and it was around the time, well, it's just trying to form an identity of its own after the success of 16. But the thing is, when it came to Total Dramarama, which I was fully familiar with back in September of 2018, I literally had nothing to expect other than, out of all the shows that ended up getting baby spin-offs, did Total Drama really need a baby spin-off? And after watching this episode, the total eclipse of the thought, I can guarantee you that Camp Coral would never do an episode like this. Like, as much as I can't stand that SpongeBob spin-off, I know full well that it wouldn't go these lengths of the grotesque humor and terrible execution of them all. Like, I understand that these are baby characters, but believe me, this is literally one of the worst episodes I've witnessed in a long time. The plot of the episode centers around Lashana having a loose tooth, but she accidentally swallowed it. So, she came up with a strategy of capturing the tooth fairy in her sleep, in her room. You know, considering that most people would think that the Tooth Fairy exists around these characters' ages, even though it makes no sense onto how they are together, all the while when they get older, they're gonna go through so many obstacles in island action and world tour. But judging of the logic of the show, I can guarantee you that baby shows can do whatever they want, which sums up onto why I've enjoyed baby shows when it came to me enjoying them at a young age. And when it comes to the current age, I may haven't binge-watched We Baby Bills, but let me tell you, when it came to these baby shows, even if they're supposed to be their own thing, I just don't think that there was ever a way for an episode like this to exist, even if it's from the Total Drama franchise. Because in the previous videos involving Cartoon Crisis 3, I may understand the pain of what people have went through, but when it came to this, I was uncomfortable. It was horrible, and to the point that it's literally in the same lengths as the Chowder episode that I reviewed back in November 2020, where Chowder has all that teeth inside of his mouth. And for me personally, I'm starting to reconsider on having multiple teeth in my mouth rather than spending my time with the Fart Fairy. Oh boy, here is Smelliet, the Fart Fairy. I remember that I watched Saber Spark's video involving this episode, and let me tell you, even if I have to watch the episode myself, I knew I was gonna be very uncomfortable with Smelliet. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is the prime example of doing stuff like this involving characters fart and having the Fart Fairy just smell them in order to make a world a better place. That is just literally crossing the line way too far. I mean, in the previous Cartoon Crisis 3 videos, I may been able to get through them, but when it comes to this, I just couldn't, because it was that bad. If it wasn't obvious by the opening of this video, you can really tell that it just feels really, really grotesque, to the point that the fact that this is centering around toddlers, I'm starting to convince that if it happened with the other characters that were older, I'm pretty sure it would have been a lot more severe and a lot more disgusting. trust me when I say this, these types of material I do not enjoy from the Total Drama franchise, and I was being way too nice ever since I talked about the Total Drama Island finale. Well, not quite finale, but somewhat of a finale back in August of 2021, because I want to be a bit positive. But with this, the positivity is dead because of all the faults that this episode just loves to throw at you. Look, when it comes to baby shows, I understand that they're just aging down the characters and try to be their own thing. But when it comes to this show involving Smelliet, I don't even understand what it's trying to do other than just being a glorified fart fetish episode. Because that's basically what this episode is. I just think that at this point, it would be better off if Total Dramarama never become a thing. Because even if there are other episodes that might be diamonds in the rough, it doesn't change the fact that it had this episode that centered around toddlers rather than grown people. I understand I may be going overboard when it comes to shows that should exist and what not should exist, but when it comes to episodes like this, and with this being the only episode I ever watched from Total Dramarama, what is the point of seeing the qualities of Total Dramarama? Because with scenes like this, it's really, really bad, and I just don't even understand how it was greenlit in the first place, and the fact that this episode is becoming 3 years old. Like, it's really impressive to think that an episode like this manages to become greenlit, all the while that it just makes it really uncomfortable to sit through and think about, because this is something you would expect from people who have a fart fetish. I mean, granted, it may be disgusting, but at the same time, it would probably their own thing of handling their problems, even if they could have done it much more better. But when it comes to this is an actual episode from a cartoon. Characters farting and characters completely normalizing because they're toddlers. And Smelliet is one of the worst characters I've seen ever since I started out Cartoon Crisis 3. I mean, when it comes to comparing him to Sergio from the Cross-Dragon days, he did less compared to Sergio, but when it comes to what he did in this episode, it's really bad. And the fact that the only way for him to come alive is for Lashana to fart, but at the same time, Lashana isn't happy because she still wants money, and the fact that she was expecting the Tooth Fairy to come. In all honesty, I'm starting to convince that the reason onto why that these types of plots work is mainly the fact that if the characters are aged down. I know I kept talking about that all the time, but this episode is so uncomfortable and the cringe level is way too high. And I'm mostly preparing for an episode for that to happen. Even though that I'm hoping it would have taken much more longer than that. And don't even get me started on the fact that Smelliet saves the world in the end, because even if this is canon or not, it doesn't change the fact that the entire episode is really badly made, with all this happening for the sake of just doing an episode involving the Total Drama characters going through these tiny adventures. And I don't even think that Smelliet is a really helpful hero, or because that he's in the position where he's surrounded by toddlers. Because let me tell you, I doubt that any of this would even work if the characters would have been grown up. Like, if it may be done in a really terrible sense of way, but at the same time, the characters, even when they grown up, even if I can understand that people may enjoy them, are difficult to feel sympathy towards because of how they're mostly okay of what's happening around them, rather than just being a bit serious. I understand that the Total Drama characters are mostly stereotypes. I understand that, and that's mainly the charm of the Total Drama franchise. But at the same time, I doubt that I would even enjoy these types of characters if they're being portrayed like this. I am willing to forgive shows that try to do different things, even though spin-offs off of a franchise that we're all remembered with. But when it came to this, it's literally difficult to take it seriously anymore. Like, in all honesty, I understand that the total drama series isn't supposed to be taken seriously at some points, aside from the unfair eliminations. But the thing is, whenever I look at this show, all the while remembering the episodes that were somewhat problematic from Total Drama Island, Action, and World Tour, which was the only ones I've watched, it just makes me question on how can it get much more worse. And this episode just proves it. Bottom line, there is no redeeming qualities in this episode. And if you're gonna say that the aged down characters are cute, I do not find them appealing. I mean, they're not terribly drawn or terribly developed, but at the same time, I'm just not into the total drama animation. I'm just not. Like, I was being nice to it, but at the same time, after watching this episode and how it's executed, I can't be able to forgive anything in this spin-off. It just doesn't work for me. Bottom line, if you're really curious, if you're a huge fan of the Total Drama franchise, then just prepare for these types of episodes. Just make sure you're prepared for them. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even gonna go back to the show anytime soon. And when it comes to doing a possible Cartoon Crisis 3 video involving the Total Drama franchise, it would definitely involve the first 3 seasons. I'm giving this episode a 1 out of 10.